microwave weapon. Again, this is my opinion, not the French Army Reserve officer's opinion. So this is what Paul Brodeur told us. Microwave radiation can blind you, alter your behavior, cause genetic damage, even kill you. The risks have been hidden from you by the Pentagon, the State Department, and the electronics industry. The guidelines on exposure to electromagnetic radiation were drawn up by a Nazi scientist who was brought into the US under Operation Paperclip and employed by the US Navy. So this is really scandalous. Yeah? All wireless communication devices communicate at least in part via pulsation, and the smarter they are, the more they pulse. Pulsed EMFs are in most cases much more biologically active than our non-pulsed EMFs of the same average intensity. But pulsations are ignored in the safety guidelines, despite the fact that almost all of our current exposures are highly pulsed. The scientific debate has been hijacked by corporate interests from the telecom industry. They just close their eyes to real scientific facts and early warnings. And this is what weapons expert Barry Trower calls a quote from the most despicable and saddest document in history. 1976, the US Department of Defense said, if the more advanced nations of the West are strict in the enforcement of stringent exposure standards to protect the public, there could be unfavorable effects on industrial output and military functions. This is why the exposure standards do not protect us, to the point now where it may be used for our annihilation. Yeah? I'm going to have to end soon. So I want to point out that NATO has now declared space a domain of warfare since December 2019. So we're putting up 100,000 5G satellites where there are already massive problems in space. And later on, I have put information in this document, in the annex on international law. I've talked about the law relating to space. And basically, what you could say about space is that the conventions have been negotiated on space, but clearly the desire is to keep space basically as the Wild West, because the powers that were want to be able to do anything they want in space. So although there are conventions, they are much weaker even than some of the conventions we have terrestrially. Yeah? So this situation with space is massively dangerous, and please read what I've put in the section on international law to understand the space situation, because frankly, there's a lot of concern about 5G, but actually that's really about the health effects of 5G, but it's much, much too restricted a view. And this is where I have a problem with a lot of campaigners who are extremely myopic. I hope it's clear from looking at this report that if we are to understand our predicament now, if we are going to be able to rise to this challenge as human beings, we need to understand what it is that faces us. We need to stop looking. The powers that were want us to have a compartmentalized view. They want us focusing here or focusing there, and this is what you will find most of the campaigners doing. They're focusing myopically on one particular area. It's not helpful, and this is why I regard this document as so immensely valuable, because it shows us this. It shows us the agenda, and it shows us what their ultimate objective is, which is depopulation. And I'd like to thank my colleague Steve Miguel for organising this today, because we feel that we are now we're on the brink of extreme danger. I will give you my personal opinion, which is that there was no first wave. That's what I believe. There was no first wave. Most of the people who died were people who had, possibly as many as 3 pre-existing medical conditions. The people who died were large numbers of elderly who were murdered, either by, as in the French case, the administering of a lethal chemical, or by the withdrawal of healthcare or caregivers. So in my view, nobody died in the first wave. These were contrived deaths. But in the second wave, and this is what's discussed in this document, the second wave will be the electromagnetic weapon, and that is what we are facing now. And that's why this document is so important, because if we're going to survive this, we need to take measures to protect our health, to avoid being targets, and especially to build up our own immune system and our own bodily strength. And they offer information on how you can do that. And I'd like to end by saying that I am extremely worried about the children. And that's why today I wanted to do a live stream, because during the lockdown, as we've seen again from this document, it was actually this is a global agenda, and because I'm international, I see how this agenda is playing out across the world, because I see the repetition. I see the identical repetition in each country. And so I see that measures have been put in place for children to be removed from their homes. And we know that the lockdown measures included the speeded up installation of 5G. And we know, and you can see here in Vienna, I've been shocked to see how many enormous antennas have been installed immediately outside schools, nurseries, kindergartens. It's horrifying. And I'm also told that the gig has been widely installed in British schools. So I have to warn parents, do not send your children to school, because the second wave is going to be the electromagnetic radiation. And the intention is to declare that the children have been affected by the alleged COVID, and they're quarantining the school, and parents may never see their children again. And that is real. And we're all in a state of cognitive dissonance. I wake up every morning. For a long time, I've been there for 26 months. And for a long time in those early months, I woke up in the morning and I pinched myself and I said, this cannot be true. It cannot be true. And the normal human mind, the non-psychopathic human mind, just goes into cognitive dissonance. I can understand that people can't deal with this. So even now, as I talk about this situation with the children, I myself, I find it hard to accept this. But I have looked at the legal arrangements that have been put in place, and I know the agenda. I've studied it, and I also have talked to a wonderful researcher called Lina Poo, and I hope that she will forgive.
I got a pee-pee. That's a very good video. Very informative. Very confirming. My thoughts. Confirmation. They're open. Thought they were shut on. Son of a okay. 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 Well, let's see. Well, let's see. We hope we can get it this time. Where's the other one?